What's up, guys? This is your boy Mad Scientist 06, EA Sports Game Changer, here to give you the inside scoop on Madden NFL connected franchise position changes. In this video, I'm going to cover what changes you can make, when you can make them, and what you need to be on the lookout for. So without further ado, let's get into it. Now, there's some big changes this year, so everybody will be happy to know that Madden 16 allows you to change more player positions than Madden 15 and Madden 25 did. Madden 16 also corrects some of the issues that people had with Madden 15 and 25. So let's look at the big picture here. So there are 3 different points or stages where you can make position changes. One is before you actually start the CFM. So basically you modify a roster and then load that roster into the CFM when you start it. The second point is from the preseason through the regular season. During this time, you can also make changes, but they are very limited. The third point is during the off-season. The off-season is defined as the period right after the Super Bowl and up to the preseason. There are 6 stages during the off-season. During that time, you re-sign players, hire staff, sign free agents, finish up your scouting, participate in the draft, and sign rookies. Well, rookies are automatically signed, but you know what I mean. So let me talk about each of the 3 different points where you can make changes in more detail. Before you create your CFM, you can modify an existing roster and then use it to load into the CFM. The advantages of using this approach is that you can edit almost everything, including player information, name, number, position, college, hometown, state, equipment, styles, as in quarterback styles, if the player is a quarterback, ratings, and player traits. However, there are some limitations. You can't edit a player's contract terms, their birth information, year, month, date. You also can't edit height, weight, age, and appearance, and this applies to all players EA created. So if you're going to modify a roster, you can also complete player transactions if you need to. So that means you can release players, trade them, sign free agents. You can also create players. So if EA didn't put a player in the game that you want in the game, just create them. If you're not happy about some of the attributes of your favorite players, edit them. Just get the roster exactly like you want it. One cool thing you can do is download custom rosters from Madden Share and use those rosters to start your CFM. So you may find some pretty good ones there, including some classic rosters with legendary players. Let's look at what type of position changes you can make with a normal Madden roster. Looking at this chart, you can see that every single position in the Madden roster can be changed at this point. This is the advantage of modifying a roster before you create the CFM. It's unlimited. Any position, anywhere can be changed. You do not have this level of control once you start the CFM. Here's some things you should be aware of. Changing player positions will result in OVR changes. You are limited by the minimum requirement at each position. For example, if you only have 2 left tackles, you will not be allowed to change one to a right tackle. The roster will not allow you to save that change. You need 2 left tackles for a valid roster. Let's take a look at Calvin Johnson as an example. There are 2 tables here. The top one shows that Calvin's attributes stay the same when changing his position. The only rating that changes actually is his OVR. In the top table, I changed him from a wide receiver to a tight end, and his OVR actually increased from 95 to 98. And even though that changed, all of his attributes remain the same. Speed, acceleration, catch, everything stayed the same. The bottom table shows his OVR for each of the available positions that he can be changed to. So you can see that the lowest is at kicker or punter, which makes sense, then quarterback. You can see his highest OVRs are at tight end, wide receiver, his natural position, and of course running back. What this is telling us is that the positions where Calvin had the highest OVR ratings are the positions where he'll probably be the most effective if you decide to make that change. So how do you get your custom roster into the CFM? The roster must be loaded into memory. You can't load rosters from within the CFM once you start it or select a specific roster you want. The CFM automatically loads the active roster that's currently loaded into memory. So make sure before you start everything, once you finish your roster changes, name your roster, save that roster, make sure you have the right roster by loading it into memory first. Then go through the steps to create the CFM. Let's move on to the second stage, the preseason and regular season. During the preseason and regular season, editing is extremely limited. You can edit player information, position, jersey number, handedness, college, equipment, and QB styles. The position changes you can make are limited to what I call symmetrical positions. I'm sure that's not the correct term, but changes like right tackle to left tackle, right outside linebacker to left outside linebacker, right end to left end, and strong safety to free safety. You can't, however, change a kicker to a punter or a punter to a kicker for some reason. Here's a table showing what you can and can't do at this point. Let's take a look. This just further illustrates that there are not many changes you can make at this point in the CFM. The most changes you can make from inside the CFM is during the offseason. Let's talk about that now. During the offseason, you still can't edit players' names, faces, and ratings, but you can edit things like equipment, jersey number, college, and QB styles. One cool thing to note here, you can change the positions of rookies that were just drafted because the draft is actually in stage 5 of the offseason, and the offseason is separated into 6 stages. You'll still have one additional stage before the preseason starts to make position changes to your entire roster along with the new rookies. This means you could draft a big, slow wide receiver and convert him to a tight end, or a 220-pound strong safety and convert him to a linebacker, or a big, slow running back and convert him to a fullback. So it's all about roster management. Okay, let's look at the new position changes to Madden 16. Now we get to the good part. EA has allowed us more flexibility by increasing the number of player positions that can be changed. Yes, substantially more than Madden 15. I use 3 colors in this table. Black denotes the position changes available in Madden 25, white the available changes in Madden 15, and red denotes the new changes added to Madden 16. You can see at a quick glance that the changes are pretty substantial. So let's look at each position. You can now change a quarterback to a free safety. In addition to fullback and wide receiver, running backs can now be changed to tight end. Also note that defensive back positions were removed. I'm not sure why, but more on this later. There is a workaround. It's not a problem at all, actually. No new changes at fullback, kicker, or punter, so we're going to skip those. Wide receivers can now be changed to free safety, strong safety, and cornerback. Tight ends can now be changed to offensive linemen. Offensive linemen can be changed to defensive linemen and vice versa. So that means the opposite is also the case. You can change defensive linemen to offensive linemen. Linebackers can be changed to any defensive linemen and safeties. Cornerbacks can be changed to wide receivers, but not running backs like you could last year in Madden 15. But that's fine. Like I said, there's a workaround. We're going to talk about it in a minute. And finally, safeties can be changed to linebackers. There are a ton of new changes that can be made. The onus really this year is on the CFM commissioners to determine which of these changes will be allowed and under what conditions in your league. Now, an example would be, in my league, we don't allow a change from wide receiver to tight end unless the wide receiver is over 220 pounds, at least 6'2" or taller, and is not faster than the fastest tight end on the default roster, which is about 88 speed or so. Now, if you are still unhappy with all of these changes, there are a number of workarounds just like last year. Say you want to convert a quarterback to strong safety. It doesn't look like you can do that from this table. However, if you move your quarterback to free safety, then once he's a free safety, you can move him to any position a free safety can be moved to, and this includes strong safety. Here's another example. You may be disappointed EA removed the ability to change a running back to a defensive back, but you can make the change indirectly by changing a running back to wide receiver, and then a wide receiver to defensive back. So you can get real creative with this and come up with position changes that aren't even really listed. Now, the big announcement here is that none of these changes are destructive in any way. This means you can move players multiple times during the offseason and your players will not, I repeat, your players will not lose any ratings points or take any ratings hits. In fact, if you change your player multiple times and move them back to their initial position, they will retain their initial ratings. This is great news. Now, do me a favor and hit that like button if you appreciate the info. You want it, I got it. Subscribe to my channel to get more inside information hot out the oven. It's your boy Mad Scientist 06 and it's Madden season, baby. I'm out.
EA Sports. It's in the gear.
DJ Duck DJ Digital DJ Duck DJ Digital.
Check out more videos on my channel. Hit me up on Twitter, YouTube, and Xbox One as Mad Scientist 06. You can also hit me up on PlayStation 4 as Mad Sci 06. Peace.